Today we have some pretty exciting new leaks to discuss in the world of Mario, because you might be well familiar with the outstanding rumor that says that something 3D Mainline Mario is expected to launch the next generation Nintendo console, and we might even learn about that Mario game this year, assuming that Nintendo does decide to reveal their successor to the Switch at some point in 2024. What has not materialized up to this point, however, is any kind of substantial information that actually points to any kind of Mario game being in development from Nintendo, at least in the mainline series, because there are some outstanding rumors that I'll mention in a minute for other spin-off games. But in terms of the mainline Mario franchise, we haven't had any concrete information to go off of until now. And you could definitely use logic and reason and realize that Mario Odyssey launched on Nintendo Switch in 2017 and just simply come to the conclusion that it's time and Nintendo is close. But this is exciting information and we're going to unpack all of it. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And we have to first kick it off by reading through a string of tweets from Midori, who, if you're not familiar, this is a Pioro level tier 1 leaker, if you will, as reliable as they come, specifically mainly focused in the past on Sega and Atlas. And as of recently, Midori has actually been putting out a lot of first-party Nintendo info, specifically in the realm of code names. As you may or may not remember, we talked about a code name revealed from Midori by the name of Banquet, and it's now come out that the same studio that makes Mario Party is responsible for Banquet, and Super Mario Party's codename for the Nintendo Switch was Buffet. So it seems like we're probably going to learn about a new Mario Party game soon as the next Nintendo Direct, in fact, and I wouldn't put it past an October launch time. If you just look at the cycle that Nintendo's been through with Mario Party games, once every 3 years seems to be their cadence, and we're due for our next one, especially considering there's been no DLC other than that free update for Mario Party Superstars. But we're not talking about Mario Party today, rather something way more exciting in my opinion, as you can see the following direct tweet from Midori, which reads, "There is a project at Nintendo in development with the codename SP Red or Spread." She then clarifies Red is Mario's codename. There was a project at Nintendo with the title Silver Star. Super Mario Odyssey is Red Star. Now that's all relevant information, but let's quickly look at the history of codenames for Mario for big titles, where you can see that Red Pepper was Super Mario 3D Land, Big Red was New Super Mario Bros. 2, Red Pro was New Super Mario Bros. U, Red Dash was New Super Luigi U, Red Carpet was Super Mario 3D World, Red Bull was Super Mario Run, Red Star was Super Mario Odyssey, Red Pro-S is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Red Carpet-S is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Sec Red is Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and SP Red is the new mystery title. Now, to then clarify the second tweet, which was that there was a project at Nintendo with the title Silver Star and Super Mario Odyssey is Red Star, which might lead you to believe that this is Odyssey 2 we're talking about. Well, Midori clarifies, responding to a question from a user where it reads, "Was as in it was in development at one point, but no longer being developed. Is there a known period of time when it was being developed?" And Midori responds, "It means it is unknown what is happening with this project." So we have at least one concrete codename that is in active development, and one that could have either been canceled or is something that's just already been done and Nintendo is sitting on it, and that potentially canceled or unknown project seems to fall in line with the naming pattern of something you would expect a Mario Odyssey 2 to look like. Now, of course, you can't say that code names are for sure indicative of what the final project is, but with a similarity in naming like that, it wouldn't put it past me that Nintendo had a bunch more ideas in the Odyssey universe, and they were working on a sequel to Mario Odyssey at one point, and maybe that was even planned to be released on the Nintendo Switch, but that is no longer happening. We really don't know the timeline of how long that game was in development with that code name and where it is now. Midori makes it very clear that the status of that is entirely unknown. Now, there is an alternate thought process with that, which is maybe Nintendo developed an Odyssey 2 and is just sitting on it as an additional title to bolster Nintendo Switch 2's launch lineup, or just release it at some point in Nintendo Switch 2's life cycle, which is an option as well, because we know Nintendo sometimes finish games and just sits on them for years and years before they actually decide to bring them to market. This would not be a new strategy for them, and maybe they don't want to launch their next generation hardware with Odyssey 2, but rather have it be an additional trickle out title for 3D Mario that can come out in the midpoint of the Switch 2's generation. Although I would argue that it would make more sense to follow up Odyssey in the form of a direct sequel if they're going to do one at all. If they branch out and do an entirely new 3D Mario direction with new ideas, and then they release Odyssey 2 a couple years later, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, which also begs the question, is codename SP Red something like a 3D Mario World game, like 3D Mario World 2 or something in that style, and that is an additional game and maybe is not ready for the launch window, and rather Silver Star, which is aka Odyssey 2, is going to be the big launch game for Nintendo Switch 2, and development has just already wrapped on that game. It is a possibility, considering that towards the end of 2017, October I believe, is when Mario Odyssey launched, and you talk about maybe the potential of the next gen console launching in March of 2025. Like, we're getting close to an 8-year gap at that point in time for the next 3D mainline Mario. So that said, all of these options are very much on the table. I, however, do feel like I would rather see Nintendo go in a different direction than a sequel to Odyssey. While I absolutely loved Odyssey, I could live without having a direct sequel to that game. And I also wondered if Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury was kind of a sandbox test or open zones larger than we've ever seen in a Mario game before, where you're not so much connected by a hub world anymore, but rather you can just travel to the vast open lands that Mario is going to traverse within one sandbox environment. If that was kind of the beta test for the direction that Mario team is going next, or were they going in that direction and then that's when this codename disappeared because it was scrapped? Granted, I don't think you would make an open world Odyssey 2, but maybe that's what they were doing. This could either be a scrapped Mario game and SP Red is now the new one, or we could get both of these games at some point over the next couple years. And there's also the possibility that Nintendo throws some kind of last minute holiday Mario game on the Nintendo Switch, which might be Odyssey 2 or something that's a smaller project but that's still in the mainline Mario franchise towards the end of the Nintendo Switch's generation. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean these are all Switch 2 games just because there's some code names floating around. But one thing I am fairly certain on, regardless of what direction we see Nintendo go with this next 3D Mario, is that it's going to be a massive, expansive game. I really think that Nintendo's going to push the limits of what's possible with their next gen console and a 3D Mario game, and I'm excited to see what that entails. It very well could be kind of that Breath of the Wild moment for the Mario franchise, not necessarily just meaning open world, but maybe such a vast different style of gameplay abilities within one set Mario game. Could we have sections of the game that do take place in space that very much is reminiscent of Galaxy with those kind of mechanics and controls, but we also have standalone planets that function more in the control scheme of Odyssey? Or even do we have Flood come back and it's kind of a love letter to various different eras of Mario, and they have all your favorite power-ups from Mario and all of his various versions over the years, but it's kind of combined into one game. They could really get crazy with this. We saw what the Wonder team did with thinking outside of the box and the brilliant 2D platformer experience that they gave Mario most recently, and I am just excited to see what the 3D Mario team will ultimately craft for us when it comes time to learn more about this project. But nonetheless, the code names being leaked online are exciting to me, but that's where I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. How do you feel about this report from Midori? Do you feel like this leads any more credence to the idea that we are indeed getting a 3D Mario game as the launch title for Nintendo Switch 2? Would you be a fan of seeing something like Mario Odyssey 2 make it to market, whether that's late Switch generation or launching the Switch 2? Are you hopeful that we see something in the 3D Mario World universe return? And do you think that Nintendo potentially has two different Mario games up their sleeves and we will learn about them soon? Or are you thinking that maybe one or the other of these might come to market, but not both in any reasonable time frame? So thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. Make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.